What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you guys are having a good Friday, and hopefully you guys got some good weekend plans lined up. In this video here, this is going to be the most up-to-date and most comprehensive bit of information on the Echoes of Oz campaign that is going to be coming up. So make sure you guys watch this entire video, so make sure you guys are up to date on everything that's going to be happening in Raid in regards to the Echoes of Oz. So let's jump right into it here. I'm going to be sharing with you guys some of this information here in the form of a slide deck. All right, so event overview, right? Raid Shadow Legends present a upcoming Echo of Oz campaign will feature various in-game events, thematic reward calendar, 5 thematic legendary champions, time-limited event dungeon, champion proving grounds dungeons with the Echoes of Oz dedicated rotation, and the return of previous limited relics and new loyalty program featuring a free login champion. Kind of interesting that they mentioned the champion proving ground dungeon. And as we know, they're going to probably put the Echoes of Oz champions into that rotation. The duration of this campaign, August 19th to November 10th. So keep that in mind, guys. Also keep in mind that from previous videos, we know that August 19th will be the start of the fusion for the Cowardly Lion. We'll talk more about that in a second. All right, so here's the juicy part. We got all 5 of the champions ready to go here. We thought maybe there was going to be 6 just because in previous collabs there was possibility of 6, but in this case there's only going to be 5. It looks like it's going to be the 5 most popular characters. We got the Cowardly Lion, Dorothy Gale, the Tinsman, the Scarecrow, and Ozilda the Wicked. Cowardly Lion will be a mixed fusion. We know that already, and drop from shards starting on September 4th. Dorothy is going to be the loyalty program champion, and she's going to be dropping from shards November 10th. The Tin Woodsman drops from shards August 19th, so at the start of the campaign. The Scarecrow also drops from August 19th, and the Wicked Witch will drop from shards November 10th. They are not time-limited champions, guys, so we will get opportunities to get them in the future. All right, so here is the loyalty program, and it's going to explain it further. How are we going to get Dorothy Gale here? During the Echoes of Oz campaign, all new and existing players will have a chance to obtain Dorothy Gale via the 14-day loyalty program, aka Dorothy Chase. The champion will be obtained on day 7, and her perfect soul can be obtained on day 14. I highly recommend you guys always get the 5-star soul for these login champions, especially if you're a brand new player. These 5-star soul and these legendary champions is a massive boost to your account. Don't forget to do these simple login objectives. Make sure you guys obtain the 5-star soul. It's just a huge power boost, giving you access to brimstone, for example. Really helps you just do some damage in those boss content. In this case, it's no different. 5-star soul for Dorothy will be available. Let me move my head here real quick so we get a better look at it. Looks like it's the usual stuff here. We got the 3, 4, and 5-star. We got the primal shard in here. And then, of course, we got the Bannerlord accessories for your brand new Dorothy. Make sure you guys pick up all that stuff. It says enrollment start date starts on August 19th. The last day for enrollment is November 5th, and the deactivation date is the 19th of November. Just some dates there for you guys if you guys are planning to start brand new accounts. All right, as mentioned in previous videos, the Cowardly Lion will be the fusion champion for August. It's going to be starting on the 19th. It is going to be a mixed fusion event, which means you will have to collect fragments to build epics, and then you will have to level up those epics to 50, fully ascend them, and then fuse them together to make the legendary Cowardly Lion. This type of fusion will give you a fusion token so that you can exchange it in the future if you want, or you can do the lion and exchange the lion for a champion of your choice from the fusion exchange program. That's up to you. He's a legendary skinwalker, defense-based champion. And then a quick blurb here about the lion. We're not going to go over that in this video. Here's his kit here real quick. So it's really good champion. He's got triple hit on his A1 with damage increasing, scaling based on the amount of successful skill activations by allies and enemies when they are under fear. It stacks up to 100%. And each hit steals 5% of the target's turn meter. Really strong A1. He's got 30% damage from 3 books. Also nice and efficient book use. The A2, very powerful. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. It's an AoE attack that places increased defense and fervor on your entire team and has a flat 20% ignore defense built in. Fervor gives them plus 10% damage and 10% damage reduction. It's pretty huge. And then on top of all that, also has a 100% chance of landing True Fear. That requires accuracy, of course, but this is a pretty action-packed A2 here from the Lion. The A3 strength in the pack is a three-turn cooldown, full team counterattack with a reflect damage. There's a passive effect here. While under debuff from this champion, allies will ignore shield and strengthen when counterattacking. Allies will also ignore shields when reflecting damage. The reflect damage can break through material, for example, and of course, counterattacks just going to give you a lot of passive damage, whether it's be PvE or just be super annoying in PvP. This is a pretty good buff, and as mentioned, on a 3-turn cooldown. His passive, True Courage, on a 4-turn cooldown, active effect. Very powerful active effect. Whenever Fear or True Fear is placed on this champion, removes all debuffs from this champion, resets all cooldowns, and activates an instant turn effect on this champion. So think about somebody like Fabian who locks everybody out, and then he's going to be, landing his fears. Once the Lion gets feared, he's going to swoop in there, fully reset everything, and then he's going to get a turn right away. It's on a 4-turn cooldown, so it's not going to be something that can be, really abused, but if you can get him to trigger this, or have this trigger at the right time, a big AoE swipe can definitely turn the tides of battle. His passive effect also very interesting. Whenever this champion is under Fear or True Fear, their skills will always be active. So it's not the same as being immune, but effectively it's kind of the same. He still will have the Fear or True Fear debuff on him, but he can still activate his abilities. That synergizes with his A1, so you can increase, so you can allow the stacking to happen, the damage stacking. But it also allows block passive skills to shut down this passive, and then he can get feared, right? But most of the time, he's probably going to still be able to use his abilities, even though he's under Fear or True Fear. Increases the damage, or increases the chance of enemy skills not activating when they're under Fear and True Fear by 15%. So instead of 50% chance to fail, it's going to be 65% chance to fail for your enemies. A nice little bump there just to be extra annoying. Overall, pretty good passive. What's missing from his kit? Extra turn mechanics, on-kill mechanics, and a cheat death. That's about it. Otherwise, very solid kit. Definitely going to be helpful for a lot of accounts. The counterattack can generate quite a bit of damage, as well as this fervor buff, especially in combination with somebody like Mavara. I think this is a very, very good champion. Of course, he's most likely going to be a damage dealer, so we're going to have to take a look at his multipliers to see how well he performs, but overall, his kit looks really, really solid. All right, guys, so we got their first look here at the Scarecrow and his overall kit. Let's take a look further and read through his kit. Again, this is the first look at his skill kit here. The Scarecrow is going to be a Spirit Affinity Undead Support Champion. Really reminds me of Harvest Jack, guys. Basically the identical stat line in the same faction too. Let's check out his A1. Crow Hunter. It's just, attacks one enemy twice. Each hit has a 50% chance, books up to 75% chance. The first hit has a 75% chance of placing decreased resistance. The second hit has a 75% chance of placing decreased accuracy. These debuffs cannot be resisted if any ally, including this champion, has been killed at least once during battle. That seems reasonable. Either way, 75% chance to land either of them is pretty solid on an A1. The A2, Smart Things, 5-turn cooldown, books down to 3 turns. Decrease the cooldown of all allied skills except this champion by 1 turn. That's nice. Places increased resistance and increased accuracy on all allies for 2 turns. Really liking the cooldown reduction here. Increased resistance, also a buff that's not super common. So this could be useful in some other context. I think even just looking at the A1 and A2, maybe you could find some use for this guy in Chimera Trials, perhaps. Let's see the rest of his kit here. The A3, all stitched up, 6-turn cooldown, books down to 4 turns, revives an ally with 50% HP, 50% turn meter, places block damage on that ally for 2 turns, also places 25% fortify buff on all allies for 2 turns. This is on a 4-turn cooldown. Single target revive, obviously a little bit longer duration for a single target revive. Usually you see a 3-turn revive for a single target, but there's quite a bit of value here. You got the 2-turn block damage, and then you got the full team fortify. It's not bad. It's pretty solid. Nice support ability here on his A3. Let's check out his passive, True Brains, 4-turn cooldown on the active effect. The active effect is whenever this champion is killed, revives them with 50% HP, 50% turn meter, then removes all debuffs from all allies. Nice, a team cleanse when he comes back to life. And the passive effect, this champion becomes immune to fear, true fear, provoke, petrification if any ally, including this champion, has been killed at least once during battle. 1 book goes into this passive to reduce the cooldown down to 3 turns. And then lastly, the aura will be 60% accuracy in all battles. Total book count is 9 on him. His kit looks relatively simple, but I think it's pretty effective. I like the cooldown reduction. These champions with cooldown reductions always manage to find a way into some teams. You can kit them out with, reflex or impulse sets, and you can bring down the A2 cooldown. The A3, I mean, with the revive, it's kind of useful. It's kind of not sometimes. And we did get confirmation from Plarium that the fortify cannot be used if no allies are dead. I like the cheat death ability here on the active effect, where he comes back and full cleanses your entire team. That's kind of nice. The passive effect, I don't really think it's that valuable, especially since it requires somebody to die first and then he becomes immune. Why not just give it to him without that condition, I think? I mean, a lot of champions have immunity to crowd control without any weird conditions like that. His A1 is a particularly good 75% chance to land decreased resistance and decrease accuracy. I'm thinking, Chimera maybe, but the increased resistance definitely is helpful there because the resistance stats for Chimera is quite high if you're aiming for a resistance build. So having that increased resistance there is very good. You also get the cooldown reduction for big hitters like Trunda or Titus. This applies to Hydra or Chimera teams. Will this champ be useful in like PvP? Not particularly seeing it right now, but the revive is going to be pretty good because apparently if you pair it with Dorothy passive, which, encourages you to have her die, this passive can, or not passive, but this kit can actually bring Dorothy back. So he is the reviver in the whole friendship circle. So far, we've seen the Lion, we've seen Dorothy, and so far the Scarecrow is the reviving champion. So that is something to consider. Let's move on to the Tin Man. And here we go. It's actually called the Tin Woodman. I'm just going to call him the Tin Man. Let's check this guy out. Magic Affinity, defense base from the Banner Lords. Same faction as Dorothy. Hewing Axe. Single target hit, one hitter. Heals the champion by 15% of their max HP. Regardless of how much damage it does, which is pretty nice. 15%, it's pretty significant. 20% damage from books, 10% damage for 10% extra heal from 1 book. Pretty good. Fell It Now is A2 on a 4-turn cooldown when fully booked. Attacks 1 enemy, inflicts 10% more damage, and ignores 10% defense for each buff on this champion. Wow. So you can effectively get 100% more damage with 10 buffs and then ignore 100% defense with 10 buffs. That could be a pretty serious smack. Then directs all other allies to team up and attack the same target. The allies joining the attack will use their default skills. Increases the damage inflicted by allies teaming up to attack the target and their ignore defense effects by 5%. For each buff on this champion. So if you have 10 buffs on the Tin Man, they're going to be ignoring 50% of the target's defense with a 50% damage boost. And it's going to be 10% for the friendship team. All right. And then lastly, reset the cooldown of the lumber machine skill if the target is killed. So effectively, this is a really, really big single target ally attack. It's pretty crazy. I think this is a pretty crazy ability. It can definitely be the highest damaging single target ally attack, perhaps in the game. If you get this set up properly, everybody's attacking. If you can set it up properly, everyone is attacking with 100% ignore defense. Yeah, that can be pretty insane, right? Very insane. I think this is very insane. It is on a 4-turn cooldown, but so are most ally attacks. And this is a full team ally attack. And you get the reset cooldown of a skill, the A3 if the enemy is killed. Very, very strong. One of the best for sure. The A3, Lumber Machine, 4-turn cooldown, books down to 3 turns. As an AoE attack, before attacking, places increased crit damage and shatter on himself. So that's already 2 buffs. We'll ignore 5% of each target's defense for each buff on this champion. Okay, so that's instantly 10% ignore defense. Places revive on death on this champion for 1 turn if it kills an enemy. Wow, that is strong. So he's basically getting 10% ignore defense from the 2 buffs minimum, and then he gets shatter, so that's 15% ignore defense. So that's 25% ignore defense with a crit damage buff. And those buffs go on all allies, not just himself. Crazy Crazy. It's an all ally buff. And then revive on death when he kills somebody. 20% damage from books. Books down to 3 turn. Again, very crazy ability. This ability is very crazy. Self buffing himself with increased crit damage, shatter, and then ignore defense here on the A3, ignore defense on the A2, big heal on the A1. So far, kit looks great for a damage dealer. Let's check out the passive here. True Heart decreases the damage of all allies received by 15%. So all allies receive 15% less damage. 30% for the friendship circle. This champion receives that damage instead. Okay, very interesting. If the damage received in this way exceeds 50% of the champion's max HP, places a revive on death on this champion for 2 turns. So I did confirm with Plarium that if he receives enough damage to kill himself in 1 hit, then he doesn't get the revive on death. That makes sense. If it's a multi-hit ability that ends up transferring to him, and then it brings him under 50%, he will get the revive on death. And then once the multi-hit damage ability kind of concludes, he could theoretically have the revive on death put on himself, die, and then come back, if that makes sense. So if, for example, yeah, if it's a multi-hit ability, the hits will deal damage to the rest of the team, and then that damage will hit him multiple times. And if each multiple of those hits, if one of those multiples bring him under 50%, he will get the buff. But then he can die right afterwards from subsequent hits. If the damage received in this way exceeds 50% of this champion's max HP, activates the Hewing Axe skill against the enemy with the lowest HP. Blah, blah, blah. So if he lives, basically if he lives after soaking up all this damage and if he goes under 50% HP, he will use the A1 to throw the axe at the lowest HP enemy. And, you know, the big thing here is that he heals up for 15% of his max HP. So if, for example, he's sitting at 36% HP, he heals up once with his A1, he's back up to over 51% HP, which means he has the opportunity to place the revive on death back on himself again because he has the opportunity to go under 50% HP again. It's very interesting. It's kind of like how Neve's passive block damage kind of works, 50%. At the 50% threshold, it kind of works like that. But block damage on your whole team is obviously way stronger than revive on death on himself. So I kind of like it. Not too sure. I mean, it's a way for him to stay alive from damage. And it's a way for him to be kind of super annoying because he's going to throw his axe. Especially if you can't kill him with, especially if you're hitting him just like with, support champions and you're slowly bringing down his HP. He's just going to be super annoying. Maybe even unkillable at some point because every time he throws his axe, he's going to heal 15% of his HP. It's not dependent on how much damage it does. So this potentially could be very, very annoying, especially if you don't have a strong enough damage dealer to kill him right away in 1 hit. Lastly, for his passive, whenever this champion receives damage via this skill, increases this champion's defense by 10% up to 100%. So he has damage scaling here because he is defense based. And then lastly, his aura increase allies defense in all battles by 30%. Pretty standard stuff. I'm loving this guy's kit. I think his kit has potential to deal lots of damage. He has lots of good stuff going on for him. He has a self heal. He has an ally attack, which absolutely cranks. It should delete most champions. Unfortunately, he doesn't go through unkillable block damage, stone skin, or anything like that. And I like that he self buffs himself, and he does have basically unconditional ignore defense. To me, it looks like he's going to be a really, really solid damage dealer. But unfortunately, he's not going to go through some of the common, PvP buffs that are going around, right? And he doesn't have any crowd control. So that's the other big thing also. But he looks really interesting. I'm really interested in this guy. All right, let's move on. So now we know the Scarecrow. We know the Tin Man. Let's move on here. We got the event dungeon. Let's talk about this here real quick. So it's going to be available for players over 6. It's going to start on the 19th and end at the end of the campaign on November 10th. Ozilda is going to be the boss here, and that, is known to us already. Blah, blah, blah. A little bit of Plarium commentary. Her kit reads pretty insane. Here. She's got an A1 AoE, has a 60% chance when fully booked of placing block active skills. Blocked active skills is super, super strong. It actually stopped mythicals from using their metamorph ability, which is crazy. Also has a 100% chance of landing block actives if they're under fear or true fear. Any AoE A1 is very, very strong. The A2 can't escape me, books down to 3 turns. It's a full enemy strip, and then it's going to be a 30% turn meter steal if they're under fear or true fear. Also has a 100% chance of landing decreased defense and ensnare. Ensnare basically just shuts down turn meter effectiveness. Here comes the A3, Lambs of the Slaughter. This is a very interesting, very potential, powerful ability. The AoE attack places Master Seal debuff on the initial target for 2 turns. Master Seal is going to shut down your relics, going to shut down your blessings, going to shut down your masteries, gear sets. Very, very nasty debuff. Also has a 30% chance of placing sheep on all enemies for 1 turn. All enemies, not just one enemy. Places block passives instead for 2 turns if the sheep does not activate. Now, 30% is not super consistent, right? So if you think about it, if you're using this ability against a full enemy team, that's about 1 enemy that gets sheeped, and it's going to be random. You don't know who it's going to be. But block passive is a very, very strong debuff also. And of course, you get to choose the Master Seal target, so that's going to be very good. You can boost the effect of the 30% sheep by using Fearsome Presence. It's going to give you an extra 5%, so it goes up to 35% if you want to build it out that way. Let's check out her passive here, Beyond Deranged. This champion is immune to sheep, fear, true fear, and snare block active skills, seal, Master Seal block passive skills. Basically, all her own debuffs she is immune to. Whenever an enemy receives a buff, there's a 50% chance of placing True Fear on that enemy for 1 turn. We'll ignore any block debuffs. Very, 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 very strong passive. 50% chance, like I said, with Fearsome Presence, it should increase this to 55% chance of landing True Fear, and it ignores block defense, block debuffs. Of course, Stone Skin will protect them. Mercurial stacks, Total Guard stacks will protect them from this debuff. But this is very, very strong on a passive ability, no cooldown or anything like that. And yeah, buffs are going to happen all the time. So fears are going to happen all the time. Very, very strong, crippling crowd control. This champion and their allies deal 20% more damage against enemies under fear or true fear. Obviously, this part of the passive, obviously going to help her in the event dungeon. All of her mobs are going to be dealing tons of damage to you when you're under fear and true fear. Lastly, her aura is 70 accuracy in all battles. Really, really strong. Really, really strong kit. Lots of crowd control here. Can be somewhat dealt with like Mercurial. Just to stop this passive fear, which is insane. Mercurial is also going to stop the sheep stuff. So that's probably the only thing that's going to prevent her from being like S tier, I think, for PvP is Mercurial, I think. But if you bring in a setup champion before Ozilda to remove the Mercurial stacks, she's basically just going to run amok and just, absolutely just crush and crowd control the enemy waves. She got block active, she got block passive, she got fears, like crazy fears, she got Master Seal, she got sheep. Yeah, she got so much stuff going on, so much crowd control. Definitely going to be nasty in the right teams. And she's going to be the event boss, so we're going to have to deal with her, right? All right, so what is our reward for dealing with her and the event dungeon? Well, we got Chronophage back, guys. Chronophage finally returns to the event dungeon. So this is the breakdown for Chronophage, if you guys are not aware. Basically, on the 4-piece, you start the round with 1 immutable stack. 1 immutable stack. The immutable stack basically allows that champion to block 1 instance of cooldown reduction attempt against your champion. This set obviously is focused around cooldown reduction prevention. You get resistance and speed as the stat bonuses along the way. If you're progressing through the game, picking up some of the accessories is going to be pretty solid. Just going to give you a solid 10% speed from 2 pieces. So that's going to help you guys out. All right, so we know that it's going to be the Chronophage set. So what about the relics? What relics are we going to be after during this campaign? And it's going to be from the Discovery group. The big one here is going to be the Stars of Janang. It's going to be back in the mix, guys. This was from last year during the Ninja Turtles. So Chronophage from the Ninja Turtles and the relics, same relic group set from the Ninja Turtles collab from last year. They're going to do it again for this one, for the Wizard of Oz. And what other goodies are we going to be looking for during this campaign? You got a bunch of avatars, you got badges here. And look at that, guys. We got Toto the avatar. All right, we got some frames, some cool looking frames. And of course, Toto the badge here if you collect all the champions. So you got to collect 4 champions plus the Void Witch. And I believe there's going to be a collect them all prize as well. Let's check it out. Yes, there is going to be a collect them all prize. You get a bunch of legendary relics. So you get legendary relics here. You also get the last laugh relic. Sorry, you get the last laugh relic. You get some legendary gemstones. You get this frame, and you get we haven't seen this yet, but you get the thematic profile background. I guess that's kind of cool. I mean, now you can like, get stuff for your profile background. I mean, this looks like a pretty cool background. It's nice green, it's kind of nice. Not gonna lie, it's kind of nice. And since we're only collecting 5 champions this time, no mythical relic, which kind of makes sense, as opposed to the Web of Corruption, where we had to collect 6 champions and then you get a mythical relic at the end of that one. Similar to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collab, where you had to collect 6 champions and then you get a mythical relic, which was the Zeba's Servitude, I think. So in this one, only collect 5, but the end relic is going to be a legendary one, not a mythical one. Anyways, guys, so that's all the info we have on the Echoes of Oz campaign, guys. Everything is here. Hopefully you guys watched it all. Hopefully you guys are digesting it all. There's a lot of stuff to take in. Looks like the only champion in the entire group from this campaign that has the synergies will be Dorothy. And luckily, Dorothy is going to be the free champion. Let me know in the comments below which champions you guys like the most. Which champion combinations do you guys see are going to be really, really strong? For example, we have the Lion that lands Fears. We have the Witch, which lands Fears. We have the Reviver Scarecrow that can revive Dorothy. He is going to be the only reviver from the whole group. And then we have potentially a crazy powerhouse damage dealer with the Tin Man, and then Dorothy with the AoE, decreased defense, and of course the buff steals, the spreading, all that crazy shenanigan stuff. I think that's going to be pretty neat. Anyways, guys, you guys are all caught up. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about all this. Thank you guys so much for watching until the end. If you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. It would really help me out. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next video.